Now we are going to work on the last color, and that is MS Deep Green, or the lighter shader green compared to this green. In my last video, I painted the darker green, the darker parts, the darker green, but before I painted it, I made sure I primed it a darker shade, black primer. Now this one I used light primer, I used the gray primer for a lighter tone, but I used black, the black base for pre-shading, and to see how it would look like after I spray painted. So I got my jar ready, and I'm sorry, in the reservoir, the green. Let's wipe off whatever particles that are on this. All right. Let us begin with the shield, with the back skirt. Looks really, really greeny. Let me just lift that like that up to here. So I got to grab the inside of these wings. All right, that's good. I'm gonna leave it alone like that for now, and then I'll give it another pass. Right now there's just one pass. Oops, let's pick this guy for the head. Alright, so far so good. I gotta get the top part of the head to finish it up. I believe this is the front part of the chest. Even though I may not be transforming it all the time, or I'm going to have it on display at a show, I'll paint it the inside just in case. Ooh, it's very good. Alright, let's paint something bigger. A wing. A little bit of red on the edges. I gotta paint it. There we go. Okay, let's do it. have some legs. I know I have a little, there's a lot of surface here, and I'm probably going to be using more paint on this. So just right now I'm just going to leave it alone, even though there's red there, and I'll cover up the insides later on when I do a second pass. But you guys got a general idea on what I'm doing here. Just one pass of this, let it dry, and then I'll do another pass and see how it looks. Making sure each part is nice and even, not one's not oversaturated than the other. So, yeah, we're doing pretty cool. This paint's coming out really nice. Just gotta be patient and take my time on this. Alright, so that's pretty much what I'm doing. Let me continue on with this, and then we will review all the parts. Alright. Here is pretty much all the parts painted of the RE100 Bawoo, which basically is basically the mass production version, soon to be the sleeves version. Now some parts, this is all majority of the green, the charcoal and the other colors I put to the side. I'm not going to display them here, but I did have the white here, some of the white color, white parts here, and there's some right there. But now let's focus on the two colors, the green and the dark green. Now for me to make it dark green, I use a black base, while the lighter green I use the lighter base, the gray base. And to show the tone of color, here's how it looks. One is darker than the other. I was actually hoping that this would be a little bit more darker, but I'm actually kind of cool with the results on how it came out. Came out pretty nice. Now, in my what I showed before was me doing a light pass on these parts, and I was going to do a secondary pass. But I kind of paused myself saying, wait a minute, there was a technique that I wanted to try that somebody sent me a message on Facebook. And forgive me, I don't remember the gentleman or person who told me this. But he kind of suggested, why don't I panel line it in between shades? And as ridiculous as it sounds, I wanted to try it. So what I did was, I took this part, like let's say we'll use this as an example. I did one pass, which had a little bit of light green, as you saw in the last video. But then I used my Gundam marker, and I began panel lining it. It went on nice and thick, but I then applied another layer of green over it, which in turn covered up the remaining green and covered up the markings and the I guess the bleed out of the pen when you panel line it, and the result is pretty cool. So here's an example here. Check this example there. You see? The legs. Look at that. So it's embedded in there. Now some of the panel lining didn't work out right, and maybe I could do another pass of green, but it looks good either way. I really like how it came out. There's an example there. I didn't do this faded one, I left that alone, but the outlining around that seems more appropriate. I also did that in here as well. Now the one thing I'm a little bit disappointed in, I should have foresaw this, that you have to be very careful when you do a secondary layer, because if you have pre-shading, you're putting more layers onto the lighter parts, which of course will cover up the pre-shading. So some of the pre-shading will show and some of them will not, but that's offset by the fact that I did embed a panel lining. Something that I like the technique, how it came out, and I will like to try it again in the future. I didn't think about that when I was painting this one with the darker green. If I did, I would have done the lighter pass first, then panel line it, and then do another pass over it. So it's embedded in there. This is I don't know if this is a technique that people have done in the past or have tried. I don't know if it's a term for that, or you know, somebody's technique, but I'm going to try this again in the future on a future kit, of course. But for now, this came out alright. So I have that, I have all the charcoal parts, and then of course I began detailing some minor parts to give it a little bit more oomph. Now I said I was going to do purple, but I thought I had metallic purple, and in the end I kind of gave up on that idea, and I began metallic painting the umbilicals, as you could see there. So that is done there. This one, I had this one painted green, but I also painted the inside using this Gundam marker. This is a metallic red marker, which I did pick up at Gundam Planet. And I thought it would be a good idea to paint the insides of these. Didn't think of painting these because they're not the same as that, and the beams are being fired from the shield forward, and I don't think they come out from the side. I will, of course, detail it up with the marker or some other device, marking device. So I used the red for that, and I also had where the heck I put it? I also had metallic silver. Here we go, metallic silver, which I did on for this one. Oops, went all the way over there. Get over here. What would be another example? Here we go. We have the forearms there, so I said, you know what, I'm going to make it that. And then there were other parts that I thought would be a good idea to detail, and I detailed the little tubing here, which came out okay, but I'm going to do another pass later on. This can be removed. I want to paint the inside of that because there's a green sticker, but I'm always been queasy about painting something this small with a spray paint or with a marker, so I'm going to leave that alone for now. I'll get back to that soon enough. And then of course for the shield, which I'm going to assemble the shield right now. We have that. We have that here. It goes like that. Then we have this here, which I did panel, is it this one? Yeah, which I did detail up the tubing, as you could see in there. So that came out nice, look at that. Could have detailed those vents, but we'll leave it alone for now. It came out okay. Then I'm probably going to use a brush to cover that up. But yeah, this part is nice and pretty cool. Alright, so that's pretty much the Bawoo before assembly. Give me some time to begin assembling the Bawoo so you could see what it looks like.